Hey guys, Steve Cortez with Arch Agent, and I'm here with Betsy Cohen of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Correct.
Do you investigate the other agents that they're going to interview?
Most of the time they won't tell me their names, so I don't investigate the other agents. I will ask, am I the second, first, or third agent in, just to get an idea of competition. Most of the time though, I'll just plan to have them sign the contract with me when I visit with them.
Okay. And typically, how long does a listing presentation take?
Typically 30 to 40 minutes on the outside.
Okay. And when you're in the presentation, what would you say the biggest obstacle that you typically have to overcome?
The biggest obstacle is price.
What about the second?
The second biggest obstacle is the length of time of my contract, because my broker wants a contract for 365 days, which is an anomaly. Most brokers want a contract for 6 months. So I will adjust to 6 months if that's something the seller wants.
You investigate your competition, you look at who you're up against?
You know, we talked about that yesterday, Steve. I know through broker metrics who the top agents are, but I couldn't say what they actually do different than I do. So that I don't know. So yeah, that's a great question. How do you find that out? I'm not certain yet, but I'll let you know when I figure that out.
All righty. So when you're sitting down with the homeowner, how long does your listing presentation typically take?
You know, that's a great question. I say on average, the listing presentation for me takes about 15, 20 minutes. You know, and it really depends on how many questions they have. So that's what's crucial about dropping off the pre-listing packet. It cuts to the chase. They know exactly what you plan to show them when you come out.
Okay. And what would you say is the biggest objection that you have to overcome in a listing presentation?
Well, right now, the biggest objection I'm hearing is that, well, everybody thinks that the market's turned south. So when that happens, you're having to overcome, we're seeing some prices come down somewhat, and people still have the greed factor. They think it's February 2022, even though it's not, it's January 23. So yeah, we've had some big changes in our market due to the interest rate doubling. And on top of that, our homeowners insurance have doubled. So a guy who was buying a $300,000 house back last year is paying about probably $900 more for the same house now.
Got you.
Monthly. So that's a big hit.
Before you go out there, do you research the other agents that you're going to be competing with?
Yeah, because sometimes when you do the pre-qualification script, a lot of times, you're going to ask, are they meeting with anyone else? They'll tell you, and then we'll research it. We'll know if that agent sells a lot in the area, what their stats are.
Okay. And how long does the presentation normally take?
Usually for me, it's 30 minutes most of the time. I get right to, what Mike's, with the listing presentation. We're probably about 30 minutes is the average.
Okay. And what would you say is the biggest objection that you have to overcome in a listing presentation?
Sure. Again, because of the pre-list, the questions, most of the time it's commission. So we'll practice that role play about the commission before we go on the appointment. And, it's price. People are still in today's market are still, in fantasy land from last year. So it's about price right now.
Price and commission. So learn those two things. How long does it typically take when you do the actual presentation?
When I do the presentation for past client centers of influence, it's like they sign. Like they ask me and I tell them that. If it's an expired, I'm probably there about 30 minutes.
Okay. So during that presentation, what would you say the biggest objection that you typically get that you have to overcome?
Probably the biggest is, or people will ask about how long is it going to take because the market has changed and they're concerned. What price am I going to get because the market's changed and they're concerned? And then, because I'm getting less, I don't really want to pay that much commission. But by the time, if you've done the box and you've done all the things that you're supposed to, people will pay it all the time.
So do you investigate who your competition is going to be? Do you ask them who the other agents are?
You know what? Based on what I've been learning, it's something that I will consider. I actually don't really care who my competition is because I feel that what I bring to the table, the market knowledge, is what matters, and I believe I know what's going on.
So once you sit down with them, how long does the listing presentation normally take?
The actual presentation, somewhere around 30 minutes.
Okay. And what do you think the biggest objection is that you overcome?
Oh, well, the price. The price definitely is the number one objection that I'm getting because they obviously want more money than what I can offer them based on market stats. And the second one would be commission. And sometimes I do get asked about specific market activities, so whether or not I sold properties in the area. So because I prospect a big area, I mean, they look at my address like, you're from this side and you want to sell my house here. What's your knowledge? So the market stats, is a great equalizer here.
Do you investigate like who your competition's going to be, or do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. And so when you doing the listing presentation, what would you say the biggest objection that you have to overcome? Like price, commission?
In my area, there's a lot of competition with other agents, so that's one big thing. I have to somehow present myself in a way that overcomes the competition. But price I usually handle really quickly over the phone. I do the Mike Ferry method, which is, would you please reduce your commission? And the answer is no. Any other questions? And it works really good.
Do you investigate your competition?
I absolutely do. Yeah, if there's competition, for sure.
Okay. Once you're in there doing the presentation, how long does that normally take?
Under an hour. It's usually about 45, 50 minutes, right around in there.
Okay. And what would you say the biggest objection that you have to overcome in a listing presentation?
Really, if you're the right agent for the job and the level of confidence that you show up on, I think that would be the biggest obstacle that some of us have. If we come across too needy, you may not look as powerful and aggressive, and you might look desperate. So it's a little balance in there.
Will you investigate who your competition is? Will you ask?
I would always ask, yes, and who else do you plan on interviewing? Any other agents?
Okay. And when you're in the presentation, how long does it normally take?
It's anywhere from about 25 to 45 minutes.
Okay. And what's typically the biggest objection that you get?
It's normally price. Price seems to be the biggest one more than ever now, that they don't want to go with the price that I'm suggesting, even though I'm showing them the comparables and letting them make the decision.
Okay.
So, and really one of the things is I don't think I've been pressing enough on the last questions there of why do you feel that, that should be the price, basically, going on there. What do you feel like your home is worth more than your competition? And that's one of the things I think I've been a little bit light on that I've noticed here, that I really need to go into that as well.